Welcome back. My name is Candice Sanderson, and I'm happy you joined us today. When I published my two books, The Reluctant Messenger and The Reluctant Messenger Returns, in 2018 and 2020, I used the messages that I had posted in my journal. Recently, I opened my online document and I just scrolled to a random entry. I love seeing what has changed and what has not changed. I often get a different perspective when I review these older messages, something that I wasn't ready to see or hear back then, but now that message comes to the forefront. Plus, it's just fun to do that. I decided to turn that older entry into a YouTube episode. And when I did, I received so many different positive responses that I thought, I'll do it again. In fact, I may even make a short series of throwback videos. So today, I want to share something with you that I found from the front end of my journal. I picked one of the first entries that had not made it into my books. It's from October 17th, 2013. Straight from my journal, I wrote that I was cued in to look at the sparkles in my fingernail polish one morning, and I knew that this was a key. This was a clue that something more would come regarding those sparkles. First of all, this was 8 years ago, long before I retired. And when I read this entry, I thought, I don't even wear nail polish anymore. Now, there are just a few exceptions. When I go to my daughter's house, and Lorelei and Shalane, ages 9 and 5, sometimes they want to play beauty spa. They get out the fluffy bathrobes and oversized towels, along with nail polish and hand lotion. What's funny is that they wear the fluffy bathrobes and they wrap their long hair in the towels. Apparently, those frills are not meant for the patrons, which would be me and my daughter. So when the girls paint our nails, there's so much more polish on our fingers and our toes than there is on the nails, but it is fun. It's a lot of fun. But let me go back to October 2013. I had been channeling less than 2 months, but I had gotten into the routine of getting into my car each morning, buckling up, cranking that engine, and then I would hit play on my iPhone. Then the words would flow and I would dictate them into my recording app. So I had this 12 to 15 minute commute, just enough time to receive these beautiful messages from the realms of the non-physical. And I often would get a hint on what the topic would be before I got in the car. Random thoughts in the shower or as I sip my coffee. So when I saw the sparkles in my nail polish that morning, I knew that it was a sort of cosmic heads up, that it had something to do with the message that I would receive on that morning commute. Now, before I share the message, let me unpack the sparkles. In June 2009, I was in the swimming pool at the condominium where I live. I was just relaxing. My eyes had that soft focus. I wasn't looking at anything in particular when I noticed something odd. I saw drops of water that had splashed on the sides of the pool. The sparkles were beautiful. But then as I looked closer and zeroed in on them, I saw these jagged, intricate patterns that moved and glistened in the light. And I wondered, why hadn't I seen those before? I got out of the pool, toweled off, and I noticed on the back of one of my hands, I had a couple droplets of water still there. And I looked closer at them, and that very same pattern emerged. I still remember smiling. How could something so beautiful go so unnoticed by me for so many years? Once that door opened, it never closed. In fact, this was so significant that I documented it. Now, I had started a dream journal the year before, but I didn't really have a place for this. I made a place. I could not let this memory fade. even now, I see these designs in drops of water. And I really get excited when I see a car with a metallic surface. Wow. I take a calming breath and these designs pop to the surface. The sparkles are just so beautiful. I've given up asking others if they see the same thing. They don't. I've even sketched what I see, but I haven't found anyone who sees what I see. So that's the background on these sparkles. Let's get to the message. It was October 17th, 2013. I'd only been channeling a month and a half. And as I drove the short distance to work, I recorded this message. We come from the stars, all of us. This is your source. That is why you see the sparkles, especially when combined with light. Light is the key ingredient of life. Light is what allows us to shine and to open and to be an energy connection to source. We are in our dense bodies and we often forget the original source from which we came. Now, I didn't know what to think about this back in October 2013, that nonsense about coming from the stars. Yet later, I learned more about this. In fact, I devote an entire chapter in The Reluctant Messenger called Cosmic Contacts, where I communicate with star beings from Alpha Centauri, from Chiron, from the Pleiades. And in The Reluctant Messenger Returns, in a chapter called There and Back Again, I talk about a message that I received 6 months after this one. The messengers state that the human body is composed of the energy of stardust, and that this stardust energy is a combination of multiple energy systems that have, quote, transcended space and time. That too sounded crazy until when I was writing the book and it was time to do some research. I found a book written by astrophysicist Carl Schreiber and his wife, medical doctor Iris. And they say that everything in the universe, including us, originated from stardust, and that this stardust continually floats through us even today. So in October 2013, this was one of the first messages that indicates we originate from stars. I guess I had to hear it multiple times in multiple ways before I believed it enough to even research it. So let's continue with the message. Be a light, be a beacon to those around you. By emulating the source and shining, you will attract into your life that which is clean and pure. By remaining crystal clear, you will begin to flow and ascend to the states for which you were meant to be. It is good that you are able to recognize a small piece of your source in so many things that you see on the earth plane. Continue to do so. Continue to be that beacon for others as well as for yourself. For it is only through the purity of your energy system that clarity will come to you as well as through you. This be a light, be a beacon theme is a familiar one with the messengers. It wasn't at this time, but it is now. Now I understand this a little differently than before. When we shine, the message says we are emulating pure, clean source. No wonder it's a beacon for others to follow. It's not just the brilliance, it's that reminder of who we are and where we came from. It's our glimpse into our home from billions of years ago. It's a reminder of that space in time. And it operates like a homing beacon. No matter how much time has passed, we entrain to those energy signals and we feel ourselves drawn homeward to the familiar. That part about the purity of your energy system that brings clarity to and through you, that's also a repeating message. As we keep our energy fields clean, We reduce blockages that might be responsible for dis-ease in our lives. Before anything can manifest into the physical realms of 3D, it resides outside of the physical body in our energy fields. Clarity is a byproduct of a clear, clean energy field. When it's clear, we shine from the light of the divine. It's the light of home with a capital H. And as a shining light, like a star, we guide those who lock onto our energy signals. We help illuminate their path. Back to the message. This is why many of your people say, quote, reach for the stars when talking about achieving goals. This is a goal of returning home, of returning to the source, but also of returning to what is important to you. Reaching for the stars is a way of reaching back to source and knowing that you are achieving in the direction you need to achieve. It is going with the flow. It is aligning your energy with the crystalline, clear, pure energy of what you once were. I cannot tell you how many times that I have said or heard others say that, reach for the stars. This is one reason why I love working with the messengers. They provide me little tidbits of wisdom through a common language like this simple phrase, and it takes on different meanings. The messengers put a different spin on things. Reaching for the stars can be about reaching our goals, but it's also what we do on a subconscious level. We reach back through the sands of time, seeking wisdom and communion with all that is. It's usually below the surface of awareness, but it's there like instinct, like that homing beacon that naturally draws us into its wake, calling us home. Reaching for the stars, our source, aligns us with what the message is saying about the clean, crystalline, pure energy of what we once were. It's deeply rooted in our evolution, in our biology. It's a driving need, a force to return to source, to reach for the stars. Back to the message. This is why there is often excitement when you hear the words, reach for the stars. On a deeper energetic level, there is recognition of this, stars, being your source. Be thankful that you are able to see tiny aspects of that source just by looking. Of course, they're referring to the sparkles that I see. Many have not recognized that, and you did not recognize that for many years. Let that be a reminder to you of the connection to source that is always there for you. Let that be a reminder of what your goals are. Know that it is perfect alignment on an energy basis to reach the stars. There's excitement when you hear reach for the stars. That sentence made me do a double take, but as I think about it, I realize it's true. There are certain sayings or idioms that evoke emotions in us. Some may be negative, others might be positive, and some phrases are just catchy and they make you smile. When I hear reach for the stars, it puts a smile on my face. In my mind's eye, I see a child reaching up toward a starlit sky at night. Remember this? Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it fade away. Remember that song? Doesn't it bring a smile to your face? Connecting to the divine from our 3D earth, catching a piece of that brilliant light in the night sky. Those lights that guide sailors in the dark of night. Those lights that have sparked the interest of astronomers for years. Those brilliant pieces of the divine. I remember as a child back in Western Kentucky, I would go outside at night, I would lay in my backyard and just look up at the dark sky, peering into this great unknown, just in hopes of wishing on a falling star or looking for those great constellations in the sky, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, Ursa Major, the Great Bear, finding the stars of Orion's belt. But reaching for the stars brings us closer to our divine nature. You feel, you sense that connection. Let's continue with the message. Reaching for the stars allows your energy to flow, and it will automatically rise and connect to source. Think of source as gravity. It is a force that is always there and always affecting you, but you do not think of it. As you let go and allow, your energy, when it remains pure, will always gravitate toward that source. I love this part that says reaching for the stars allows you to automatically rise and connect to source. This message introduces one of the main principles behind my years of channeling. It's that letting go and allowing. It says when we allow our energy to flow, it will automatically rise and connect to source. Again, the esoteric becomes practical when they say to think of source as gravity. Gravity affects us every second of every day, but we don't think about it. We don't resist it. We allow it to work. If we stop resisting, if we allow the flow, we can connect with higher vibrational energies. Now, I'm not saying to blindly go with the flow. I talk about the emotional guidance system in the Reluctant Messenger. We can learn to tune into the energy frequencies around us. And if something feels uncomfortable, we can push it aside. We learn to use our hearts for discernment. When those things are in place, we clear our energy fields for higher frequencies to enter. And that's what the messenger says in that last statement. When you allow and when your energy remains pure, you will always gravitate toward that source. Now, I didn't get that the first time I received this message, but I get it now. Discernment, using good judgment. Let's go back to the message. Smile and be happy. When you have the energy of gratitude and happiness, that is another way to reach for the stars, for it is the higher, more subtle energy of these positive emotions that will guide you in that direction. That good feeling you have inside when you are happy or in love is part of your emotional guidance system. That is a cue for you to realize that you are indeed on the right track. Be aware of that emotion and give gratitude that you have it. And thus, now you have an even fuller understanding of what that means. This is another way of eliminating the energy blockages that you have and allowing you to flow back to source. This was the first mention of the emotional guidance system by name from the messengers. And I didn't realize it until I read this message for the episode. I looked in the Reluctant Messenger and noticed the first mention of the emotional guidance system. It was October 23rd, 6 days later. Because I had not included this message in the book, I didn't realize it was mentioned before. And again, I often didn't get the meaning of the messages, so the messengers gently repeat lessons for me, especially the ones that are important. This last paragraph was a great summary of how to use the emotional guidance system. When you have those feelings of happiness, those feelings of love, use those patterns of frequencies, those patterns of energy to guide you. Once you're in that state, then it is safe to expand and explore. Bring gratitude into your life. It keeps the doors open for us to explore the realms of the non-physical, to reach for the stars. And as that last sentence says, smile and be happy. That's key. Quite often, we look for solutions that are multi-step and complicated. First this, then that, followed by this and that. But it doesn't have to be that way. By doing something so simple, like smiling, you boost your energy field. You can prevent a downward spiral of hurt, anger, despair, or anxiety. Use your heart and smile. As a psychologist, I know how the body is flooded with a hormonal rush of endorphins when we smile. It's a natural elevator. So don't take the steps. Elevate your mood by smiling. There's a couple more paragraphs to the message. Everything is energy. That energy impacts everything about you. Be aware of it, for it is certainly aware of you. Acknowledge it, and your awareness will increase and help guide you in directions never dreamed possible before. Oh my, once again, this message surprises me with the basic tools that they're sharing. Maybe if I had just paid attention to this one message, I would have saved the messengers a lot of extra work. Here's another major premise throughout the messages: everything is energy. Once I began to view the world through the lens of energy, my life changed. Embracing the fact that everything is energy, emotions and thoughts, not just things, I began to perceive my world differently. I could see the interactions between people. I began to sense energy, seeing colors and patterns that I had never seen before. And I'm just now getting this. Perhaps I've come full circle. Perhaps my first step seeing those patterns was recognizing the patterns in those sparkles of light. That was back in 2009. Maybe that was the first contact with the messengers. Maybe that is what opened the door for me to connect with them. Sparks of light, stars, messages. But when I read this third sentence, be aware of it, for it is certainly aware of you, I got cold chills. It's worth repeating this entire message. Everything is energy. That energy impacts everything about you. Be aware of it, for it is certainly aware of you. Acknowledge it, and your awareness will increase and help guide you in directions never dreamed possible before. Once we acknowledge the divine properties behind energy, we step on a different path. We become entrained with the properties of this wise stream, this stream of consciousness, this stream of wisdom. It leads us to more divine connections, our angels and our guides. It's the energy of our non-physical guides and angels that lead us on that path to ascension and enlightenment as we move closer to the divine energy of Source. Be aware of it, for it is certainly aware of you. Energy is intelligent. It is aware of us. That speaks volumes. Energy is alive. Energy is part of the life force that guides us. Let's hear the last paragraph from the message. Smile. That is what enjoying life is all about. As you go through your life and you are happy, you know that you are certainly on the right track, leading your direction correctly by way of returning to the source of purity. The messengers end with bringing up smiling again, letting us know the importance of that one simple act. It's an act of kindness for yourself and for those who come into your orbit. The messengers say if you go through life with a smile on your face, it will lead you toward the source of purity. It returns you to Source. Wowzers, I thought this was an exciting message to revisit and unpack. And I just love it that it was just the first message I found that I hadn't included in the book. This reminds me of my YouTube channel called The Reluctant Messenger Unleashed. It's hosted by Donna Rebido, who has a wonderful podcast called Exploring Consciousness. The YouTube channel is a sort of virtual book club where Donna and I go through The Reluctant Messenger chapter by chapter, sometimes page by page, and we unleash the stories behind the book. As in this episode, Donna and I often receive updates to the original messages. We have a new perspective, an enriched view that maybe we weren't ready to hear or see or understand earlier. This episode reminds me of the Reluctant Messenger Unleashed YouTube channel. Wisdom comes to those who are ready to accept it. That might not be on the first pass. You might not be ready. Apparently, I wasn't. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like, and share on social media. For those who might be interested, because this message was not included in either of my books, I'm going to copy it in my blog on my website, CandiceSanderson.com, and in the description box below in YouTube. So until next time.